Before we start officially, let us bow 3 times all together to Ajahn and the Triple Gem. Ajali Vandana, Abhivandana. Ajali Vandana, Abhivandana. Ajali Vandana, Abhivandana. Ajali Vandana. So thank you very much for joining this, maybe the last English meditation sections with Ajahn Yiu. And let us thank once again Ajahn Yiu for the precious time, precious teaching, and Freddie, Michi Fafa, and everyone else who make this happen. And let me remind everyone once again that we're recording this and we're going to share it a bit later on YouTube. So you might stay behind to, for more private discussions with Ajahn after this. So thank you very much. And please, Ajahn.
We start from start with ease. It's not something burden. It's not something heavy for us. Practice is normal. Practice, Dhamma practice is to make our mind normal. We are not in a normal state. Our mind is sick with 5 hindrances. So first we adjust our body posture, sit in an upright and relaxed manner, and switch our perspective from being a master to a humble knower to this. So you can tell yourself now, this body is not yours. So after it is in the right position, just let it be still. Although our posture is still, but the energy inside is still vibrating. So it may take some time to settle down. We need to give the space and time for it to do so. So pay attention with this body, be accompanied with it as a knower. Be a knower, know the present moment with content. Just simply feel the body sitting here in this posture, breathing, and change your perspective, your attitude. Why can't we be content with this? We still can be mindful. This is very precious. And this body is our friend. It is our friend in this life. And it provides us the tool for practicing Dhamma. Just simply know the body, feel the breathing, and wait. Let it settle down itself. You can feel the weight of the body. And this solid body, it has such weight and fall onto your hips and the legs. It is just a piece of earth element. Just let it sit here and breathe itself. And when the posture becomes stable, then we can go into inner part of the body. We pay attention to the brain, at the center of the nervous system. The bodily energy is still vibrating, or you can say the nerves are still vibrating. And if we can relax the brain, then the nerves of the body will cool down. Because this is the main switch of the nerves of this body. Feel your brain in the background of breathing. Just let the breathing be the background of meditation. We don't need to hold on to the breathing. Just let it be there. Feel the brain with honesty, with acceptance, whatever it is. Is there any tiredness or heaviness, dullness in the brain area? Just try to find it out. Feel it. And release it. We don't need to cover it up, or we don't need to fight against it. Tiredness of the brain is a natural phenomenon. It happens because of all the past conditions. We are using the brain too much. So of course you feel tired once we start to relax. The tiredness is always there. It is repressed by our agitated mind. And now it's time to release it. Let it come out. Never mind. Accept it. But bear in mind that you are just a knower to this. You can visualize your breathing, the breath, as a stream of light. It flows gently into your brain. And at the same time, relax your brain as much as possible so that the light will penetrate into deeper parts of the brain. This light is refreshing, it is relaxing. It brings your blessing to the brain. It's a good view from the mind, from the nature. So you breathe in, bring the light into the brain. Breathe out, relax and release all the stress. So in this process, there are two main points. One is to refresh the mind with the light of breathing. And the second is to relax the brain as much as possible. When the brain is agitated, then you can pay attention to the relaxation part more. When the brain is tired, is sleepy, then you can focus on the refreshing parts of the breathing, which is the visualization of light. Do this in a gentle way, in a friendly way. You are not the one to manipulate. You are not the master to control. You're just a friend to this brain. You're trying to help it. At the beginning stage of this visualization, the mind may be involved, more involved than usual. But after we get used to this visualization, then the mind can draw back, just step back, and let the breathing, let the nature do the work itself. We don't need to take part into this process. The body knows how to breathe. You just grant the positive meaning to the breathing through the method of visualization. And actually, the mind doesn't need to do anything. You just know with content. Just watch the process with content. Relax the brain and leave it to the nature. If it is tired, then you can pay attention to the in-breath more. Bring the light penetrate into the brain, into every corner of the brain. And you do this with friendliness. Remember, you are not the brain. And all the thoughts and the feeling of sleepiness belong to the brain, not you. You can intentionally let your brain sleep in the breathing of light. The light flow in and out naturally. We don't need to control. Just let the body do the work. If the brain is in lack of oxygen, then the body will know to take a deeper breath. Just know the scenario with a smile, with content. Let the breathing heal you, balance your brain. You can just simply notice with appreciation. And it may take some time to balance the brain, to recover the energy of the brain. And the mind just wait and know. If we know every present moment, then we have the sense of time. Simply feel the time passing. Then we are living at the present moment. We just let the brain take a little rest. Now you can tell yourself, you can give 3 more minutes for the brain to take a rest. So treasure your time. 3 more minutes. In these 3 minutes, the brain can take a free sleep. Just sleep as much as possible. Let the brain sleep, not you. One more minute. Let the breath flow in and out. Bring the light to the brain. We charge the brain. Okay, now the time for sleeping is enough. So the brain wakes up. But just let the brain keep relaxed. We don't need to use the brain in the meditation. Just let it continue to take rest in the breathing. And now we pay attention to the area of in the middle of the chest, the area of the heart chakra. So in the same way, penetrate your awareness into this area. Feel it in an honest way. How is it now? What's the feeling in this area? Is there any feeling of dullness or tightness? Just know as it is. Relax this area and slowly make it open. You can imagine it's just like a lotus blossoms in your chest. Slowly, petal by petal, and slowly open and release the stress. We don't need to hurry. Just let it open slowly. Let it happen itself. And the breathing brings your good view go into this area, the heart chakra. It is it is gentle, it is peaceful, harmonious. So this is the message carried in your breathing. Communicate with heart chakra. The lotus opens slowly. And when it is open, all the stress inside is released. And at the middle of the lotus, it is a feeling of loving kindness. It is peaceful and harmonious. So pay attention to this feeling of loving kindness. And let this feeling breathe in this area. And it will grow in the breathing. No commanding, no urging. Just let it happen with your appreciation. And at the same time, just leave the brain and take a rest aside. Sometimes it will send you the message that it is tired So just let it take rest. But you don't need to bother it. Just know it, acknowledge it, and put it aside. And pay attention to the feeling of love in the heart chakra. Loving kindness is a feeling. It is a feeling of happiness. And it is a want to give, to share. So it's breathing and it grows bigger and bigger. It has no boundary. Actually, it is not limited to this physical body. Uh, and the more your mind is selfless, and the stronger the loving kindness will be. Selfishness is the obstacle to our loving kindness. If our intention is pure, it's a pure intention to give, to sacrifice, then the loving kindness will be so strong. So let this loving kindness embrace you, embrace the whole body, and let this body take a rest inside this loving kindness. The breathing brings the message of love to the whole body, to your brain, to your heart, everywhere of your body. And now the mind, just step back and simply notice with content. Just leave this whole person to the nature, to the metta, loving kindness. You don't need to do anything. You just simply feel the time passing. No matter what it is, feeling good or feeling bad, the time is passing the same. when the mind is awake, then you can separate, detach from this body and mind, from the five khandhas. Then you can know as an independent knower, know without attachment, without ego. Just let the awareness be open to the present moment. No matter what happens, you simply know it and then let go. Everything is passing away every moment. Everything is changing every moment. And because of these changes, we have the concept of time. If there's no changes at all, we don't have the concept of time. So once we can still feel the time passing, that means we are feeling the impermanence. There must be something changing all the time, and which gives us the sense of time passing. The breathing is only a frame of reference, giving us the sense of time, giving us the sense of present moment. So just simply feel the time passing. Everything are happening in time. So everything is changing, passing away with time. No matter what it is, once you know it, they are already in the past. They are passed away. Just like a ever-flowing river. No matter how hard you try, you can catch nothing from the water. This is the river of impermanence, the river of sankhara. If you try so hard, you know, want so hard, want to have something, to gain something from this river, you will suffer. The only way, only way out is to let go the want. Just put down your hands and know the present moment. Know the reality. If there are no wants in the mind is naturally happy. It is naturally content, satisfied. Because we don't need to fulfill any wants. Want is the emptiness of the mind. Because it is empty, so it want to have something to fill it up. And usually we look for such objects to fill up the emptiness from our senses. We thought that these sense objects can fulfill our wants. if you can identify the mind and the feelings, then you find that the feelings actually cannot reach the mind. No matter good feelings or bad feelings, pleasant or unpleasant feelings, they cannot reach the mind. They are in different dimensions. If we see this, then we know that all our efforts to gain something from the sensory world can never satisfy the mind. It is just a delusion. We delude ourselves that we can be happy from the sensory world. We can be content with the sensory objects. And we think that we suffer because we cannot gain enough objects that we like. But we don't realize that actually the suffering comes from the wants themselves. Because there are the wants in the mind. So the mind is not satisfied. If we simply let go these wants, then the mind is content already. It is satisfied already. Just simply give up the wants to gain. Then we will feel content with the present moment. No matter what it is, we will be simply content with the present being. Breathing is content. Touching is content. Everything, all our sensory experience will be content towards this, because the mind is not empty, because the mind is satisfied. So everything will be happy. Just give up the want to gain from the past or from the future, to gain from the present object. If we simply give up the want, then the mind is freed. This is the deepest level of relaxation. To relax the want, relax the attachment to the ego, because all these wants come from the ego. Just enjoy the present breathing. Nothing is constant. Nothing is belong to you. And the suffering comes from your unsatisfying mind. It is never satisfied. It creates the wants all the time. But if we simply give up the wants, then the mind is free from suffering. Okay, time's out now. Okay. So anyone want to report or say something? It's voluntary now. How is it, Brian?
Hello, Ajahn. Yeah, I woke up too early today. My wife got ready to go to work, so I didn't get too much sleep. So I was just a little bit sleepy times. I think you saw me and woke me up.
So just let it sleep. Sometimes.
But not deep sleep, just like nodding off kind of thing. But other than that, it was okay. Not too many thoughts, and my mind was reasonably clear. And I tried to get myself back on track.
But don't control too much. Sometimes we will try to control ourselves to stay awake, and which cannot last long. If we do it in a relaxed way, just and our mind will identify, will separate ourselves from the feeling of sleepiness. Then the mindfulness will grow stronger. And if we practice enough on this, then the mind can even stay awake even during the sleepy time. It will clearly know that this feeling belongs to the body. It's not that I'm sleepy, but the body is sleepy. So and you can intentionally let the brain, let the body take a sleep, but the mind is still knowing. So this is a good way to recharge the body without making the mind sleepy. So it is the wisdom which is more important. The wisdom of non-self, knowing that these feelings are not self. Sleepiness is just a feeling. It's not me. But usually we will fight against the sleepiness. We try to repress it. When you are stronger, then you repress it down. When it is stronger than you, then you'll be defeated. But this war will never end. Cultivate the wisdom is more important. Just know it and without being deluded. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anyone else? Yes. 11.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ajahn. So today, yeah, I think throughout I was like drowsy overall.
Yeah, today most of you are drowsy.
Yes. Yeah, I also didn't get much sleep last night, and I just had a big lunch. But like throughout, I noticed that like when I'm sleepy, like I noticed that like sometimes when we have like thoughts or restless mind, the thinking mind is very similar to dream, in the sense that like sometimes when we have thoughts or thinking, that like the only difference is that when we have thinking mind, because we have like other 5 senses that kind of keep on feeding and kind of have it like a controlled, but like in a dreaming state, like because all the other faculties are kind of down, so then the thoughts just kind of go kind of randomly. I don't know. That's just a feeling.
Just a dream, daydream.
Yeah.
So actually, the sloth and torpor can work together with the scattered mind. It doesn't mean that when we are sleepy, when the mind will not think. The mind keeps on thinking all the time. In the nighttime, we are thinking, and we call this dreaming.
Right.
Then this restless mind is more important. It's more dangerous. So if we intentionally tell the brain take a sleep, then the restlessness will be reduced. Then the sleep will be more refreshing. So and actually the brain doesn't need to take a too long sleep. After some rest, then you recover itself. But when it is sleepy and together with restlessness, then it is the exhausting itself, and at the same time keep itself in a low energy level. So this will last longer. So if we intentionally let it take a sleep, then this will be better. And when we do this, then the mind is actually more awake because it is doing something to the brain, and the brain call the brain to take a rest. So the mind actually is separate from the brain because it is working on the brain. But if we don't do this action, then we will normally delude ourselves, identify ourselves as the brain. When the brain is tired, and then we think that it is tired, the mind thinks it's tired. This is a delusion. But if we just let it intentionally let it take rest, then it will be much better. So in the days in the sleepy days, can try to do this practice. Just tell yourself to sleep the brain from the very beginning. You are not to meditate. You try to let the brain take a sleep. If you do this, then you find it's completely different. Because now you have no stress, no pressure. You don't need to fight against the sleepiness. And when you concentrate yourself to sleep, the restlessness is reduced.
Okay.
You can try to experiment this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Joyce, and before you come, we have announced that from next week, yes, next week, this class will be combined with the Korean class. It is on Saturday night. So on Sunday and the midday of Sunday, there will be no class at all. Okay, so if you like, can join the Korean class. If it is speak in English with Korean translation, or if you like, you can join the Mandarin or Cantonese class.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah. Do you have something to report?
Nothing much. Usual. I mean, like being observer to the thoughts. Let it come and go.
Okay, then. So anyone has any question? Yes.
Okay. Just now, Ajahn was saying about the brain is sleeping, but the mind is not sleeping. The mind is watching the brain sleeping. So when we are having dreams at night, but we are we are not aware that we still think that the dream is real. So that means the mind actually thought that the brain is real. I mean, right at that moment.
Mm.
So we're actually in the, I heard there's one called Bhavanga state, right? Bhavanga state. So that means when we're sleeping, we're actually in Bhavanga state, right?
That means unconsciousness. Bhavanga means subconsciousness, you can say. It means the extension of consciousness, and that which means that subconsciousness. When we are in the subconscious level, the consciousness doesn't work, so we are not awake. The mind is deluded. So you just simply follow the objects that appears to it. You cannot make a right choice. It's not aware of its present stage.
And then another question, let's say when while meditating, sometimes when the mind wander, and then is that called Bhavanga state?
If we are in the Bhavanga state, that means the consciousness doesn't work. We are not awake. So when we are not mindful, actually the mind is not that conscious, right? But usually we use the term Bhavanga means the states of sleepiness. When we feel sleepy, then it drops into the Bhavanga.
So the wandering thought is like you're not so mindful, but you are still a little bit conscious.
Yeah, still in the conscious state. Just like when you are not that mindful, but if someone speaks to you, you know how to respond, right? But but you cannot do this in a dream. So you are still conscious to a certain level, more conscious than when you are sleeping.
Okay. Then another question is, when we die, do we go into Bhavanga state? Or before we are, let's say, reborn as human? Is that intermediate period is called Bhavanga state?
The conscious and subconsciousness is a natural extension. It is like a spectrum. I do not have some clear division in between. Sometimes our mindfulness is high, then the conscious is strong, right? But when the mindfulness is less, then we are getting closer to the subconsciousness. So before we die, if we can keep mindful, then we are conscious. Then for sure we will get into a better place, because the mindfulness is the wholesome Dhamma. When wholesome Dhamma occupies our mind, then the unwholesome Dhamma cannot arise.
So it's like even when we die, upon death, we just continue with the meditation mode lah. Not until the body leaves, and that's it. Just continue noting. That's it. Nothing to do except noting, mindful, noting. That's all lah.
Just simply accept whatever it happens. Just like what we do in the meditation, right? Actually, we need to keep the meditation mode throughout the whole life, not only before the death. Right? Whenever we remember, so try to come back to this state. We just be a knower to what is happening, and feel the time passing. It doesn't have any conflict to our daily work, daily life. No matter what we are doing, the time is still passing the same way, right? If we feel the time passing, then the mind is stable. And everything, the body is moving in the time, we are thinking in time, and everything happens moment by moment.
Okay, so but what if those who die in the sleep? That is very dangerous because they are in the subconscious mind.
Right? Yeah, if we are not unmindful and we die in the not mindful mode, then our mind will simply work according to some lower instinct. Like if we think of some delicious food, a good thing to eat, or the desire to destroy, then these now will bring us to lower realms, right?
Yeah. So for a meditator who die in sleep, so because of the habitual mind is a wholesome state, so even though in the it will automatically, the subconscious mind will also be wholesome, right? Because of their habitual mind, which is wholesome. Could it be?
Yeah. It will gradually, just like a database, the subconscious is just like a database. So and all the content actually comes from our comes from our sensory experiences. We accumulate it, and if we are usually mindful, then we'll install a lot of wholesome programs into the subconsciousness. So we'll have good dreams, right? So in the same way, when we will go to a goodness night, and for those who are those noble ones, they have uprooted some defilement. So such kind of defilement doesn't exist even in their deepest levels of consciousness. So they will never go to the lower rooms.
Yeah. So we need to cultivate until the subconscious mind is also wholesome.
Yeah. It is the deepest level of our subconsciousness. Usually we call this faith conviction. It is the fundamental value of life, just like the belief of ego, belief of self. Everyone believes that we exist. We are an individual, right? And such belief is a conviction in the subconscious level. Even we know a lot of Buddhist knowledge. We know the anatta. We practice to have no self, but it's just in the conscious level. It cannot influence the subconscious. In the dream, we are still selfish, right?
Yes. It's the reason sometimes we have bad dreams. We still have bad dreams.
Yeah. But just keep cultivating the mind. We don't need to expect anything to happen. We are not to change everything, but we just to live in a wholesome way and live the present moment well. That's enough. Whatever happens, just let it happen, because not everything is conditional. We suffer because we have done something wrong, and we are worthy for this, right? We deserve it. So we are not to blame anyone, because this is cause and effect. If we can keep this mind, then this mind is wholesome. Even when we're facing some bad results from our karma, but our attitude is wholesome. So we are doing a wholesome karma during such unwholesome results. So keep our attitude right. This is right view, very important.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, thank you, Ajahn. Thank you very much.
Any more questions? Yes. 11.
Yes, Ajahn. So I remember. So last week I was listening to a Dharma talk, right? So basically, it was saying that at Buddha's time, Buddha gave a Dharma talk to a lay person, and Buddha was telling him, like, when you know that seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, knowing is knowing, like there's no self in it, and that's a cessation of suffering. So I think and then so basically that person
enlightened.
He became Yeah, he became arahant right away. I think he's one of the quickest to be enlightened. But before he got ordained, I think he got killed by a raging bull. By a cow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was the story. So my question is like, what does it mean by seeing is seeing? Like for example, right? Like a newborn baby, right? For a newborn baby, I mean, he or she is not polluted by this. They are pretty pure, right? So when they see, I mean, aren't they just seeing? Do you get my question? But the babies, they are not a noble person, right? But
they may not be mindful.
Yeah.
Right. They're just like animal. Animal is also seeing, also hearing, and they don't have much ego. And for the baby, they don't have the concept of ego yet. But also they are not that mindful as a cultivated person. They are not that conscious. Right? Everything is instinctive for them.
Okay.
So if this is not enough to enlighten, because their lack of mindfulness, the right mindfulness, I mean. So the animals are also in this state. Their mind is quite simple. They don't think a lot. The human is the kind of animal think a lot. But for other kinds of animal, they don't think much. And their mind is quite pure, but they don't have the right mindfulness on this. So the 7 factors awakening, the Bojjhangas, is not complete. Right? Mindfulness is the first one. And also we need to have the Dhamma Vicaya and Upekkha. They may have Upekkha because they don't have the concept distinguishing self and non-self for the babies, I mean newborn babies. But they don't have the ability of Dhamma Vicaya. They don't investigate into the Dhammas. Right?
Okay.
So these 2 ends should be in balance. And this will lead to the enlightenment.
Okay. So basically, when we have mindfulness, then that means that one is able to, because like a lot of times we have like unwholesome actions or unwholesome thoughts is based on it's more of like an instinct on survival, right?
What do you mean?
Well, okay, for human maybe not as much, but for animals, so maybe they, even though sometimes, okay, they still do karma, but they are basically reactions to survive.
Yeah, they are not that conscious.
Right. They are not that conscious.
So they are because their mind is deluded by the bad karmas, by delusion. For the sentient beings in the animal realm, the biggest characteristic is delusion. That means they cannot think and see clearly. They just act according to their instincts. Right? They will not make moral choices. Right? Their mind is limited to the lower levels. So that's why they cannot be enlightened. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you want to be animal? You think animal is higher than human?
No, I just want to understand, like when Buddha say like seeing is seeing, like what what does one actually do to, I mean, how to differentiate, you know, the
seeing is seeing means that we see it without defilement, without greed, aversion, and delusion. And this is the condition that we can see the reality, see things as they are. And when we see things as they are, then we will understand anicca, dukkha, anatta from this. So why we need to cultivate meditation? Because through meditation we subside our 5 hindrances. Then the mind becomes clear, without bias, and we see things without bias. It gains the equanimity. So it is easier for us to see things as they are. Seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, because the mind is equanimous. It is unmoved, right? But usually our mind is moved by what we see, what we hear. And such movement is the defilement working. We are either be deluded, or we are in craving, we are in aversion. We will see things and according to our emotions, according to our delusions. So it is not seeing as seeing. It's not pure seeing, pure hearing. When we see things as they are, then what we see, everything has the same characteristics, which is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Everything is arising and ceasing away every moment. This is reality. Everything is not belong to us. We can never own anything. This is anatta, and everything is unsatisfactory. They can never satisfy the mind itself. This is dukkha. So when we see things as they are, we can realize this truth. Because the mind is temporarily free from delusion, then you can see things as they are.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, then we can end earlier. So starting from next week, this class will no longer exist. It's impermanent. It ceased with time. But you can join the Korean class or other classes. There are 3 choices: English class, and Mandarin class, and Cantonese class. Okay. Then see you.
Okay, so for the very last time, during the English meditation sections with Ajahn Yiu, let's bow all together 3 times to the triple gem. Ajali Vandana, Abhi Vandana. Ajali Vandana, Abhi Vandana. Ajali Vandana, Abhi Vandana. Ajali Vandana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So thank you very much once again for joining us. And
Eleanor, excuse me, can I have take some time to know more about our Dharma friends, how they will enjoy the sections in next week?
Sure. So
first of all, maybe you can stop the recordings.
Yeah, I'll stop the recording then.